Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with, as promised during my in-depth analysis, my thoughts on the reveal of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now I want to emphasize I'm talking about the reveal in this video, not the content that was given to us during the panel, the data, the team working on the game, the writers, etc. I'm talking about the reveal. Allow me to properly break it down. I personally believe we are in a gameplay first type of industry, and some may say, Matty, it was foolish to expect any type of gameplay during a EA game reveal because they have a very formulaic approach and history speaks for itself, what they did with Battlefront 1 and 2. And I agree with that, which is why I say I wasn't expecting gameplay, but that doesn't mean that it makes it less disappointing even if expectations weren't there. I was really hoping to see gameplay because EA's situation is entirely different from when they revealed Battlefront 1 and 2. Let's look at the situations. Battlefront 1 was celebrated because, oh my gosh, it is DICE working on a Star Wars game and all that destruction and those great graphics. It's going to be fantastic, and that ended up being a shallow project. Then we had Battlefront 2, which once again felt like the approach of, okay, this is special because EA knows what they need to do now to make Battlefront good. And well, they dropped the ball on that with pay-to-win microtransactions right off the rip. And yes, they have fixed the game over time. It is a lot better now, but the player base is not as big as it could have been. So then you have this game coming out, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where EA really needs to show us, hey, we are doing something different this time around. And just talking about no microtransactions, no loot boxes, I'm sorry, but if your company is that bad where you got to use that as a marketing spiel, that should be a sign to take a look in the mirror. But not to get off track there, the situation is what I'm emphasizing is different between Jedi Fallen Order versus previous Battlefront games, which is why I felt a different reveal would be something that would happen. Not that the existence of this very game and the team working on it isn't an exciting premise enough, but that's the thing. I can't personally nowadays anymore get excited over just a premise, over 5 developers sitting on couches talking about the game saying, yeah, and they got these cool force powers, and oh, BD1 is actually really helpful in combat, and oh, here's some cool upgrades that you can actually maybe do.
I mean, I'm a huge gamer and a huge fan of what Respawn have done, and it's Stig, as well. And I obviously wasn't involved in the creation of the gameplay at all, so I was coming very objectively, and I really wanted to see satisfying, weighty, visceral combat that had impact, and I gotta say, like, it kicks ass. It's Disney, I don't know if we're allowed to say that, but yeah, seriously, no, it kicks ass. It's
and
so cool.
And getting to use force powers in there too,
yeah,
along with the melee, and like that feel is all there.
Yeah.
Like that right there. It's that age-old, I say this in quotes, get the famous guy to represent the gamer and talk up the product, end quote, that we see in really dated reveals that people meme up. And I'm sorry, but to bring someone on stage and have him go like, I'm a hardcore gamer, and let me tell you, this is some visceral combat, why not just show it at that point? That's what I'm talking about. That type of stuff doesn't work on at least me, and I think based off the response I got in both my in-depth analysis as well as some of the tweets I had, that people agree with that. I believe nowadays when a game is revealed, it should always be accompanied by gameplay. What are we excited about? What game am I going to be actually playing? Because what happens with these CGI trailers is I just find them a waste because I know that's not what I'm playing. I know maybe I'll be seeing that happen unfolding in front of me in a cutscene, but that's about it, and that doesn't get me excited because the majority of a game is spent, unless it's the Order 1886, playing. You are playing the game, so I want to know what I'm going to be playing. And yes, at the end of the day, some people might go, who cares, because come E3, we're going to have our gameplay, and this isn't going to matter in a few months. But I just feel like sometimes first impressions are very, very crucial, especially in a video game / just entertainment in general industry. While some may be satisfied with the reveal, and I completely understand why, I just offer the idea of, imagine if Respawn came out, instead of saying, here's a CGI trailer and now we're going to talk in a panel for an hour, they said, here's a gameplay trailer, now let's talk gameplay details. And then you can cross-reference what they say with what we saw in the gameplay trailer, and now we truly have something to be excited about other than what they said, which was, we have thoughtful combat. And it's like, okay, that sounds great. let's see it. But they didn't even really describe it. They just gave us a bunch of little bullet points and premises that are cool, that I do want to see in a Star Wars game, but we know next to nothing about. So what happens is I delay my excitement, and that initial excitement period, which this is gaming, we want to be excited about games, especially when it comes to Star Wars, man. And this is coming from a Knights of the Old Republic fanboy, so any Star Wars game with some light RPG elements, I mean, come on, I'm all in on that. So for me, maybe it's an additional frustration, but still, I think it's important to address that EA should take these announcements and do them a little bit differently, because it becomes awfully formulaic. And I think also as a company, from my perspective, it's a bit of a waste of money, but that's as a hardcore gamer, because here's what a lot of people don't think of when we talk about games and how our industry develops is there's a lot of people outside of the games industry who don't watch YouTube videos, don't get involved in discussions, don't involve themselves with Twitch streamers. They just play games every now and then. They're the people who maybe buy their Madden, their FIFA, their NBA, their Call of Duty, what have you, those very popular franchises that some will refer to as casual. Now, Star Wars is such a big brand that it can actually fit under, it's very recognizable, and when someone sees a CGI trailer and the idea of a game, that's all they need for some folks, and they go, that's it, pre-ordered, I am definitely picking it up. Which, speaking of pre-orders, yes, you can actually pre-order Jedi Fallen Order, which is once again a game we have hardly an idea about at this time, and that's another frustrating aspect is companies give us so little details but aren't hesitant to let us pay $60 for the game up front. I would love to know what I'm going to be playing, at least if you're going to be suggesting to me to purchase this game, right? Now, there is a large contingent of gamers who are sold strictly on graphics, and also I think a CGI trailer can bring that to a new level where they look at it, they go, whoa, this looks amazing. There are hardcore gamers who really like that, but more so, those types of trailers are designed to pull in the less than hardcore gamers and get their attention for the game. So that's why it makes sense why EA and Respawn did what they did. It's excellent for their game in the terms of sales, but I also think that it wouldn't have hurt them to put out gameplay, because I think the industry is big enough now where that's equally as impactful. Things spread by word of mouth, things spread through social media, and you go, look how cool this game is and all the things you can do while playing it. Admittedly, it felt a lot more tangible than the Star Wars Battlefront 2 panel afterwards, where they're like, this is tying into the story and it's actually canon, and here's Iden Versio, and we've been listening. This seems more like a, we had a vision, we've been working on this for many years. They talked about concepting characters for over a year and whatnot, so this seems like a more focused project, and like they're not just answering the calls of people in a quick rebound response to folks' anger. Regardless, I just don't find non-gameplay reveals exciting anymore, because it reminds me of the industry 4 or 5 years ago, where what would happen is we get the in-engine trailer, the game falls off the map for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it gets re-revealed, here's the gameplay, and that trailer that came out initially was just to serve as a it exists type of piece, and it reminds me of that, but also it's once again not indicative always of what we're going to be playing. So that's where I sit on it all. I'm not trying to be negative about it, because like I said, I'm talking about the reveal itself, not exactly the game. The game I am interested in. The reveal, though, I think EA and Respawn, etc., any company can do better than what EA had brought to the table for this reveal. Some may be satisfied. I respect that. I understand it. But like I said, gameplay is something I don't think really anyone can argue with. Now, the next question you may have is, Matty, what reveals do you like if that's the case? I'm a big fan of 2 types. Number 1 is the surprise weekend reveals like an Apex Legend, where we know that a brand new game that could be the next big thing is coming out very, very soon, and it's going to be a surprise reveal, free to play. I thought they did that in a really exciting fashion, and it got everyone on board because they knew A, it was free, and B, it was coming really soon. I think gamers really feed off the idea of something fun being immediately close by. Next is one that I think had a lot of hype on its side, so it did aid the event, but the format is what I really prefer, which is how Fallout 4 did its big reveal. They came out on stage, they gave us details that correlated with the gameplay they showed us, and personally, that got me more excited, because they talk about something, they'd show it. They talk about something, they'd show it. And I know we like to meme up Todd Howard out on stage. He says a funny thing every single year, and I'm sure at this coming E3, he'll have a brand new line that we'll be memeing until E3 2020, but I digress. I really like like how Bethesda Game Studios did the Fallout 4 reveal, and I think that format should be the standard for any big game reveal on a stage like a Star Wars, where there is that hype. It is Star Wars Celebration weekend, and there is that hype that we just got the Episode 9 teaser, so there is that boost for Star Wars excitement. It's in the air, you can taste it, you can feel it, where I feel like if they took that Fallout 4 format, they came out on stage, did a half-hour presentation, showing some gameplay, talking some details, showing some gameplay, talking more details, that would have really benefited the game's reveal, in my personal opinion. But those are just my preferences that I want to share with all of you, so you know where I'm coming from. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments down below. Maybe myself and the people I saw in the comments, as well as on Twitter, were in the minority, but I'm looking forward to the response nonetheless. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that, as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.